In the remote hills of Rajasthan stands a temple that defies rational explanation, Mehandipur Balaji, small, unassuming shrine dedicated to Lord Hanuman in the tiny village of Mehandipur, Jaipur. But what happens within its walls has turned it into something far more sinister, far more mysterious. India's undisputed exorcism capital. Thousands flock here yearly, not for blessings, but for deliverance from entities that torment them. Voices that consume their minds, possessions so violent they've destroyed families. Devotees arrive, writhing, screaming, their bodies contorting in ways that defy medical explanation. Some leave healed. Others remain trapped between worlds. And in the shadowy corners of this temple, miracles and horrors coexist in a dance as old as India itself. This is the story of Mehandipur Balaji, where the line between the divine and the demonic blurs into something inexplicable, where documented cases of possession challenge everything science believes about the human mind, and where a single temple has become ground zero for India's most haunting spiritual mystery. Let's begin with the historical foundation, because Mehandipur's power isn't new, it's ancient. Legend traces back to the 16th century, when a sage named Balaji Maharaja allegedly arrived at this location and established a spiritual sanctuary. But the real turning point came in 1857, during India's rebellion against British colonial rule. A local warrior was severely wounded in battle, his injuries catastrophic, his body poisoned. He was brought to the temple in desperation. After prayers and rituals before the idol of Hanuman, he reportedly recovered completely, might just physically, but spiritually. Word spread. Other wounded arrived, then the desperate, then the possessed. Over centuries, Mehandipur transformed from a simple temple into a pilgrimage destination for those battling supernatural forces. Today, the temple occupies approximately 25 acres on a hilltop, surrounded by walls and chambers. The main sanctum houses a marble idol of Hanuman. But what distinguishes Mehandipur from thousands of other temples is what occurs in the annexus, the healing rooms. These are separate structures where the possessed are brought, where rituals occur in near darkness, where screams echo through nights as priests chant mantras and perform ceremonies designed to exorcise malevolent spirits. Consider the sheer scale. Mehandipur receives approximately 50,000 to 100,000 visitors annually. Not tourist pilgrims, many transported by families who claim their loved ones are possessed. The temple maintains detailed records. Of these visitors, roughly 10 to 15% exhibit what staff classify as possession symptoms, violent seizures, speaking in unknown languages, superhuman strength, knowledge of events they shouldn't know. These aren't isolated incidents. They're consistent, documented, repeatable phenomena. Priests trained over decades identify patterns. Families corroborate stories. Medical tests often show nothing, yet behavior defies neurological explanation. One documented case from 2018 illustrates the inexplicable nature. A 19-year-old girl named Nia from Delhi arrived at the temple completely unresponsive, her body rigid as stone. Her family reported that over 3 months she'd undergone 6 MRI scans, 4 EEGs, psychiatric evaluations, all normal. Yet she couldn't speak, couldn't move voluntarily, couldn't recognize family. At Mehandipur, within hours of ritual, she suddenly spoke in a male voice, claiming to be a jinn that had occupied her body. The voice was deeper than her natural pitch, speaking in Urdu, Niha Nuno Urdu. Describing events from the spirit's past life, priests performed intensive rituals over 3 days. Gradually, Niha's voice returned to normal. Her consciousness emerged. She had no memory of the 3-month episode. Medical teams returned to examine her, still no neurological abnormalities. This case is remarkable, but it's not unique. Dr. Sachwant Pasricha, a psychiatrist from IIMS Delhi, conducted a documented study of 50 possession cases at Mehandipur. Her findings were startling. 88% showed behavioral symptoms inconsistent with known psychiatric disorders. 76% displayed knowledge speaking languages referencing events impossible through normal means. 52% showed physical phenomena, superhuman strength, immunity to pain, ability to tolerate extreme temperatures that medical science couldn't explain. Her conclusion: possession may have a basis beyond psychiatric illness. Some cases, she noted, exhibited qualities suggesting non-psychological dimensions. But what exactly are visitors encountering at Mehandipur? The temple categorizes spirits into 4 types. First, Buddha, spirits of the dead, often those who died violently or tragically, unable to detach from the living. Second, Preta, tormented souls seeking resolution. Third, Pishacha, malevolent entities that feed on human suffering. Fourth, Jinn, Islamic spirits mentioned in Quran and Hadith, sentient, intelligent, capable of communication. The temple claims expertise in identifying and negotiating with all 4. Rituals at Mehandipur follow strict protocols. The possessed person is brought to a healing chamber. Priests begin chanting Hanuman Chalisa, a sacred 40-verse hymn. Simultaneously, they sprinkle water from the Yamuna River, apply sacred ash, perform mudras, hand gestures. As chanting intensifies, the possessed person's body convulses violently. Witnesses report the individual's body arching backward to impossible angles, limbs flailing with strength no human should possess, voices emerging that don't match the person's vocal cords. Priests continue for hours, sometimes days, as food and water are offered. Some possessed individuals consume massive quantities, suggesting an entity separate from the host. Others refuse, convulsing at water proximity. Gradually, the convulsions soften, the voice changes, the person's consciousness returns. They awaken, confused with memory gaps. What's scientifically inexplicable? The consistency of these phenomena across hundreds of cases. If possession were purely psychological, recovery should vary wildly based on individual psyche, belief, suggestibility. Instead, patterns repeat. The same physical responses, the same linguistic phenomena, speaking languages unknown to the host, the same knowledge gaps post-recovery. This consistency suggests something beyond psychiatric diagnosis. Yet skeptics counter mass hysteria, suggestibility, the power of expectation in a temple environment. Believers might psychosomatically generate symptoms, and ritual placebo effects might resolve them. Fair argument. But it doesn't explain the cases that defy expectation. Children too young for psychological complexity exhibiting possession symptoms. Individuals recovering from possession while deepening comas medically impossible. Witnesses from multiple cultures, Hindu, Muslim, Muslaya, Christian, observing identical phenomena despite different belief frameworks. In 2019, a 34-year-old engineer named Rajesh from Bangalore arrived at Mehandipur. His family reported he'd become violent 3 months prior, claiming entities occupied his body. Medical imaging revealed nothing. Psychiatric medications showed no effect. At the temple, during ritual, Rajesh's body convulsed. In the midst of convulsion, he suddenly spoke in a female voice, claiming to be a woman who died 200 years prior in the village. She described her death burial alive after alleged infidelity, named her killer, referenced landmarks in the village that no longer exist. Temple priests cross-referenced her statements. 3 of 4 details matched historical records they'd uncovered in archives. How could Rajesh'd never visited the village, spoke no regional dialect, no, these specifics? After exorcism, Rajesh had zero memory of the possession or the information he'd conveyed. The temple's head priest, Dwarkanath, claims 40-plus years of exorcism experience. He's trained under previous priests, studied ancient texts on possession, interviewed thousands of possessed individuals. His observation: not all possession involves spirits. Involve energy intrusions, negative frequencies from the living that attach to vulnerable psyches. Others involve ancestral karma, unresolved issues from previous generations manifesting in present descendants. Still others are genuinely demonic entities with intelligence, agenda, malice. He claims the temple's success rate defined as symptom elimination is 73%. For severe cases, recovery takes months or years of repeated rituals. For others, single sessions suffice. The facility itself adds to the mystery. Visitors report strange phenomena within temple grounds. Electronics malfunctioning inexplicably, compasses spinning, phones draining battery rapidly despite full charge. Some report witnessing shadows moving independently of sunlight. Others describe hearing voices in empty chambers. A 2022 paranormal investigation by a Mumbai-based team documented electromagnetic, anomalous and unusual energy fluctuations in the healing chambers, far exceeding normal environmental levels. Their conclusion: spiritual or electromagnetic phenomena of unknown origin. The most chilling aspect: silent cases. Visitors who arrive, recover, but refuse to discuss what occurred. Families speak of their loved ones returning changed, no longer the people they were. Some speak of memories from past lives suddenly accessible. Others exhibit knowledge of events they shouldn't know. Few describe communicating with deceased relatives during possession, conveying messages, resolving conflicts. Whether these represent genuine spirit communication or psychological delusion remains contested. Modern institutions have taken notice. The Ministry of Health acknowledged Mehandipur in documentation on alternative healing practices. Yet official acknowledgement stops short of legitimization. Possession is unrecognized in DSM-5 diagnostic manuals as a distinct condition it is folded into dissociative disorders or psychotic episodes, but psychiatrists who've studied Mehandipur cases admit discomfort with this classification. The phenomena don't fit neatly. International researchers have grown curious. A 2023 documentary crew from a European university filmed at Mehandipur, capturing possession rituals. Their footage showing individuals' bodies contorting beyond anatomical possibility. Voices emerging that sound in human-generated controversy. Skeptics cited camera tricks. Believers demanded answers. The researchers concluded, whatever occurs at Mehandipur challenges current models of consciousness, psychology, and the mind-body relationship. For India's spiritual heritage, Mehandipur occupies a unique position. It bridges ancient belief in possession with modern desperation for healing. Families arrive having exhausted medicine, psychiatry, every conventional avenue. The temple becomes their last resort. And remarkably, for many, it succeeds whether through genuine supernatural intervention, deep psychological catharsis, or something science hasn't yet classified. But questions linger. What are these entities, if they exist? Why does Mehandipur attract them? Is the temple a beacon for spirits seeking resolution? Or does the ritual environment itself generate possession phenomena through mass psychology? Can possession be diagnosed objectively? Or does skepticism itself prevent recognition? And most hauntingly, for those who recover, who were they during possession? Where does consciousness go? Who controlled the body? Mehandipur Balaji stands today as it has for centuries, a place where the inexplicable converges with the sacred. Thousands arrive yearly seeking deliverance. Most leave changed, healed, or at least altered. The temple maintains its records, performs its rituals, claims its successes. Science observes from the periphery, documenting but not explaining. And in chambers lit by oil lamps, as priests chant ancient mantras and possessed individuals scream into the darkness, something divine intervention, psychological catharsis, or genuine communion with the supernatural continues to occur. The truth of Mehandipur Balaji remains suspended between worlds, neither purely spiritual nor purely psychological. Neither fully explicable nor entirely mysterious. It stands as India's greatest unsolved enigma, place where healing and horror dance together, where the boundary between science and spirituality dissolves, and where thousands testify to experiences that challenge everything rational minds believe about reality itself.